Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that might seem counterintuitive, even a little shocking. We're talking about kindness. Yes, that thing we're all told to strive for. But what if I told you that being too kind could actually ruin your life? Stick around, because we're about to explore 8 ways that excessive kindness can backfire, and more importantly, how to protect yourself. We're constantly bombarded with messages about being kind, putting others first, and being selfless. But nobody talks about the dark side of kindness, the potential dangers of being too nice. We live in a world where generosity isn't always reciprocated, where giving can leave you emotionally and financially drained. Could being too kind even put your life in danger? Let's find out. Number 1, you'll have unrealistically high hopes for people. We expect others to be as giving as we are, which sets us up for disappointment. The Stoics taught us to accept things as they are, not as we wish them to be. When we give without expecting anything in return, we practice emotional detachment and cultivate a calmer mind. So, we've established that being excessively kind can lead to a host of problems. But one of the most insidious is the development of unrealistically high hopes for the people we're trying to help. This isn't just about expecting a simple thank you. It's a deeper, more pervasive belief that others will operate with the same level of altruism and generosity that we do. We tend to project our own values and standards onto others, assuming that if we're willing to go above and beyond, they'll reciprocate in kind. This is a natural human tendency, but it's also a recipe for disappointment. We create these elaborate narratives in our minds, where our acts of kindness are met with equal or greater acts of gratitude and support. We imagine that when we need help, the people we've assisted will rush to our aid. We envision a world where our kindness creates a ripple effect, spreading goodwill and creating a network of mutual support. But the reality is often far different. People are complex, and their motivations are varied. Some may be genuinely grateful, but others may be preoccupied with their own lives, or simply lack the capacity to reciprocate in the way we expect. Think of it this way: if you bake a cake for a friend, you can enjoy the act of baking and the joy of giving, regardless of whether they praise the cake or even eat it. The value is in the act itself, not in the external outcome. This mindset allows us to be truly generous, without the burden of unrealistic expectations. By adopting a Stoic perspective, we can still be kind and generous, but we do so with a clear understanding of what we can and cannot control. We can still hope for the best, but we're prepared for any outcome. This allows us to maintain our inner peace and continue to act with kindness, even when faced with ingratitude or disappointment. Ultimately, the Stoics remind us that true happiness comes from within. By focusing on our own character and actions, rather than the reactions of others, we can cultivate a life of purpose and fulfillment, free from the shackles of unrealistic expectations. We all have a subconscious expectation of reciprocity. When we give our all, we expect the same in return. But people get used to having everything done for them, and they take it for granted. You'll end up feeling tired, angry, and sad. The reality is, people aren't necessarily letting you down, they're simply focusing on their own lives. Number 2, people will expect you to give, all the time. Humans are creatures of habit. If you're always giving, people will expect it. You'll create a comfort zone for them, where they don't have to take responsibility. If you don't value yourself, no one else will. Consistent giving establishes expectations in others, creating a habitual dynamic. Humans are creatures of habit, and this extends to our interactions. When you consistently provide assistance, you train others to expect that behavior. It's often not malicious, but a natural human tendency. If a task is consistently removed from someone's plate, they'll naturally rely on you. A predictable pattern emerges where they don't have to exert effort, you become their safety net. This creates a comfort zone for the receiver. Within this zone, they avoid challenges, don't develop problem-solving skills, and avoid taking responsibility. You effectively hinder their growth and prevent them from becoming self-sufficient. If you consistently fix their mistakes, they never learn to avoid them. If you always carry their burdens, they never learn to carry their own. This is enabling, not helping. The longer this pattern persists, the harder it is to break. This isn't necessarily malicious on their part. It's simply human nature. If a task is consistently taken off their plate, they'll naturally begin to rely on you to handle it. You're creating a pattern, a predictable dynamic where they don't have to exert effort. You become their safety net, their reliable resource. This leads to the creation of a comfort zone for them. Within this zone, they don't have to face challenges, they don't have to develop their own problem-solving skills, and they don't have to take responsibility for their actions. You're effectively hindering their growth and preventing them from becoming self-sufficient. Furthermore, constant giving erodes your self-worth. When you consistently prioritize others' needs, you signal that your needs are less important. You devalue your time, energy, and well-being. Think about it, if you always fix their mistakes, they'll never learn to avoid them. If you always take on their burdens, they'll never learn to carry their own weight. This isn't helping them, it's enabling them. And the longer this pattern continues, the harder it becomes to break. This highlights a crucial point: if you don't value yourself, no one else will. This isn't a judgment, but an observation. People tend to treat you as you treat yourself. If you consistently demonstrate that you're willing to be taken advantage of, they will. If you don't set boundaries, they won't respect them. This isn't about being selfish or unkind. It's about recognizing your worth and setting healthy boundaries. True kindness empowers others to take responsibility, not enabling dependence. People tend to treat us the way we treat ourselves. If we consistently demonstrate that we're willing to be taken advantage of, they'll take advantage of us. If we don't set boundaries, they won't respect our boundaries. By establishing clear expectations and boundaries, you protect yourself and foster healthier, more balanced relationships. This creates an environment where everyone takes responsibility for their actions and contributes to the group's well-being. Habitual overgiving creates a reliance that prevents the growth of others, and negatively impacts the giver's sense of self. It is necessary to set boundaries, and value oneself to have healthy relationships. Number 3, your goals will take a back seat. If you put everyone else's needs before your own, you'll neglect your own dreams and aspirations. You might be using kindness as a way to avoid facing your own issues. But you can't run forever. Self-care is essential. You can't pour from an empty cup. When you consistently prioritize the needs of others above your own, you inevitably push your own dreams and aspirations to the periphery of your life. These goals, whether they involve career advancement, personal development, or creative pursuits, become secondary concerns, constantly postponed in favor of addressing someone else's immediate needs. This pattern often stems from a deeper, perhaps unconscious, avoidance of one's own internal struggles. By focusing on the problems of others, you can effectively distract yourself from confronting your own fears, insecurities, or unresolved issues. The constant engagement in helping others provides a sense of purpose and validation, a temporary reprieve from facing the uncomfortable aspects of your own life. However, this avoidance strategy is ultimately unsustainable. You cannot indefinitely run from your own issues. They will inevitably resurface, often with increased intensity, demanding your attention. The longer you postpone addressing them, the more they fester and negatively impact your overall well-being. Moreover, neglecting your own goals can lead to a sense of unfulfillment and resentment. You may begin to feel trapped in a cycle of self-sacrifice, where your own needs are consistently disregarded. This can breed feelings of bitterness and frustration, undermining the very kindness you intended to express. The fundamental principle at play here is the importance of self-care. You cannot effectively support others if you are depleted and emotionally drained. The analogy of pouring from an empty cup aptly illustrates this point. Just as a cup cannot dispense water when it is empty, you cannot provide genuine assistance to others when you are neglecting your own well-being. However, this avoidance strategy is ultimately unsustainable. You cannot indefinitely run from your own issues. They will inevitably resurface, often with increased intensity, demanding your attention. The longer you postpone addressing them, the more they fester and negatively impact your overall well-being. Moreover, neglecting your own goals can lead to a sense of unfulfillment and resentment. You may begin to feel trapped in a cycle of self-sacrifice, where your own needs are consistently disregarded. This can breed feelings of bitterness and frustration, undermining the very kindness you intended to express. The fundamental principle at play here is the importance of self-care. You cannot effectively support others if you are depleted and emotionally drained. The analogy of pouring from an empty cup aptly illustrates this point. Just as a cup cannot dispense water when it is empty, you cannot provide genuine assistance to others when you are neglecting your own well-being. Self-care is not a selfish act, it is a necessary prerequisite for sustainable kindness. It involves prioritizing your own physical, emotional, and mental health. This might include setting aside time for activities that bring you joy, pursuing your own goals, or simply allowing yourself moments of rest and relaxation. By nurturing your own well-being, you replenish your resources and cultivate a stronger foundation from which to offer support to others. When you are grounded in self-care, you are less likely to engage in acts of kindness out of a need for validation or avoidance, and more likely to give from a place of genuine compassion and abundance. Your goals and dreams are important, and they deserve to be pursued. They are part of what makes you who you are. By neglecting them, you are neglecting a part of yourself. Number 4, people will see you as weak. Over time, your kindness might be perceived as a lack of boundaries. People will come to you to offload their responsibilities because they know you won't say no. Start saying no, and you'll earn their respect. This isn't about being inherently weak, but rather about how your actions are perceived within a social context. When you consistently prioritize the needs of others without setting limits, you inadvertently signal that your own needs are less important, and that you are easily manipulated. Over time, this perception solidifies into a belief that you lack boundaries. People begin to understand that they can consistently rely on you to accommodate their requests, even when those requests are unreasonable or burdensome. They recognize that your kindness is predictable, and that you are unlikely to refuse them. This creates an environment where others feel comfortable offloading their responsibilities onto you. They understand that you will readily accept their tasks, even if they are within their own capability. This isn't necessarily driven by malice, but rather by a pragmatic understanding of your established patterns. They see an opportunity to lighten their load, and they take it. The root of this problem lies in the absence of clear boundaries. Boundaries are essential for establishing healthy relationships and maintaining a sense of self-respect. They communicate your values, your limits, and your expectations. Without them, you become a passive recipient of others' demands, rather than an active participant in your own life. The solution, as stated, is to start saying no. This seemingly simple act is often fraught with anxiety and guilt, particularly for those who have consistently engaged in excessive kindness. However, it is a crucial step towards reclaiming your agency and earning the respect of others. Saying no communicates that you value your time, your energy, and your own priorities. It signals that you are not a limitless resource, and that you are willing to assert your own needs. Initially, some people may react negatively to this change in behavior. They may be accustomed to your compliance, and they may resist your newfound assertiveness. However, over time, they will come to understand and respect your boundaries. They will recognize that you are not easily manipulated, and that you are willing to stand up for yourself. This newfound respect is not earned through aggression or confrontation, but rather through the consistent and assertive communication of your limits. Furthermore, saying no allows you to cultivate a stronger sense of self-respect. By prioritizing your own needs, you reinforce the message that you are worthy of consideration. This newfound self-respect radiates outwards, influencing how others perceive and treat you. Ultimately, the ability to say no is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength. It demonstrates that you are in control of your own life, and that you are not afraid to assert your own needs. It is a crucial step towards building healthy relationships and living a fulfilling life. Number 5, you'll attract opportunists, which highlights a disheartening consequence of unchecked kindness, the tendency to draw in individuals who prioritize taking over giving. When you establish a pattern of constant giving, you create an environment ripe for exploitation. These opportunists, often subtle in their approach, recognize your willingness to help and strategically position themselves to benefit. The core issue lies in the imbalance of the relationship. Genuine friendships and connections are built on reciprocity, a mutual exchange of support and care. However, opportunists seek a one-sided dynamic, where they consistently receive without feeling obligated to return the favor. They are drawn to your kindness as a resource, a means to an end. Initially, they may mask their intentions with superficial displays of friendship. They might engage in pleasantries, offer occasional compliments, or feign interest in your life. However, these interactions are often transactional, designed to maintain access to your generosity. When a need arises, their true motives become apparent. People who once seemed like good friends will suddenly reappear, their interest in your well-being conveniently coinciding with their own immediate needs. They might ask for favors, seek advice, or request material assistance, all while offering little in return. This pattern reinforces the perception that your kindness is a commodity, something to be extracted rather than reciprocated. This reality is undoubtedly unfair. It can be deeply hurtful to realize that relationships you believed were genuine were, in fact, based on exploitation. It can lead to feelings of betrayal and disillusionment, questioning your judgment and eroding your trust in others. The underlying mechanism is a form of selective attention. Opportunists are adept at identifying individuals who exhibit a propensity for giving. They recognize the signs of vulnerability and exploit them to their advantage. They are not necessarily malicious, but rather driven by self-interest. This dynamic is further exacerbated by the societal expectation that kindness is inherently virtuous. We are often conditioned to believe that refusing to help is selfish or unkind. However, this belief can be manipulated by those who seek to take advantage of our generosity. To protect yourself from opportunists, it's crucial to cultivate discernment. Learn to recognize the signs of one-sided relationships, pay attention to patterns of behavior, and trust your intuition. Set boundaries, and don't hesitate to say no when a request feels exploitative. Remember, true relationships are built on mutual respect and reciprocity. Number 6, excessive giving attracts only takers, not givers, delves into the concept of energetic alignment and the consequences of depleting your own energy reserves. It's a fundamental principle that like attracts like. When you consistently operate from a place of giving without replenishing your own resources, you inadvertently lower your vibrational frequency, attracting individuals who resonate with that depleted energy. This isn't about some mystical or esoteric concept, it's about the tangible impact of your emotional and mental state on your interactions. When you're constantly drained, you project an aura of vulnerability and neediness, which attracts those who seek to exploit those qualities. People are subconsciously attuned to subtle cues. They can sense when someone is operating from a place of abundance versus a place of scarcity. When you're giving from an empty cup, you project a sense of scarcity, which attracts individuals who are also operating from that place. They are drawn to your perceived weakness, seeing an opportunity to fill their own void at your expense. This dynamic creates a self-perpetuating cycle. The more you give without replenishing, the more drained you become, and the more you attract needy individuals. They further deplete your energy, reinforcing the cycle and making it increasingly difficult to break free. The core issue is that you are not attracting people who are operating on the same level of give and take, you are attracting people who only wish to take. Genuine relationships are built on a mutual exchange of energy, a balanced flow of giving and receiving. However, when you're constantly giving, you create an imbalance, attracting those who are comfortable with that imbalance. When you are drained, you project vulnerability, attracting those who exploit it. People sense scarcity, seeing an opportunity to fill their void. This creates a cycle, more giving, more depletion, more takers. They drain you further, reinforcing the pattern. The core issue, you attract those who only take, not reciprocate. Genuine relationships balance giving and receiving. Constant giving creates imbalance. This isn't to say that all needy individuals are inherently malicious. Some may be genuinely struggling and seeking support. However, when you consistently attract only these individuals, it indicates an underlying pattern in your own energy and behavior. The solution lies in cultivating self-sufficiency and replenishing your own energy reserves. This involves setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, and learning to receive as well as give. When you operate from a place of abundance, you project a different energy, attracting individuals who resonate with that abundance. Furthermore, you must learn to discern between genuine need and opportunistic behavior. Not all requests are created. Learning to differentiate will help you protect yourself from those who seek to exploit your generosity. When you are full of energy, you will attract people who are also full of energy, and who wish to share that energy with you. The seventh point is the potential for developing addictions, which unveils a critical but often overlooked consequence of chronic depletion stemming from excessive kindness. When you consistently operate in a state of giving without adequate replenishment, you create a void within yourself. This void, a combination of emotional, mental, and sometimes even physical exhaustion, can become a breeding ground for unhealthy coping mechanisms. The human psyche, when faced with sustained stress and depletion, seeks relief. This relief, in its most desperate form, can manifest as addictive behaviors. These addictions can take many forms, including substance abuse, alcohol, drugs, compulsive behaviors, overeating, gambling, excessive shopping, or even obsessive patterns of thinking. The underlying mechanism is a desperate attempt to fill the void, to numb the pain of chronic depletion. Addictive substances or behaviors provide a temporary escape, a fleeting sense of relief from the overwhelming burden of constant giving. However, this relief is illusory and short-lived, creating a vicious cycle of dependency and further depletion. The danger lies in the gradual and insidious nature of addiction. It often begins subtly, with seemingly harmless coping mechanisms that escalate over time. You might initially turn to a glass of wine to unwind after a particularly draining day of helping others. Over time, that single glass might become 2, then 3, and eventually, a dependency forms. Similarly, you might find solace in overeating, seeking comfort in food when feeling emotionally overwhelmed. These seemingly harmless coping strategies can quickly morph into addictive patterns, further compounding the problem of depletion. The key to recognizing and addressing this issue is self-awareness and attentiveness to the feedback of those who care about you. When you're deeply entrenched in a pattern of depletion and addictive behavior, your perception becomes distorted. You might deny the problem, rationalize your behavior, or minimize the severity of your situation. This is where the perspective of trusted individuals becomes invaluable. They can observe your behavior objectively, identify patterns you might be blind to, and offer constructive feedback. Their concern is not an attack, but rather an expression of genuine care and support. It's crucial to listen to their observations, even if they are difficult to hear. Their insights can serve as a wake-up call, prompting you to seek help and break free from the cycle of depletion and addiction. Remember, acknowledging a problem is the first step towards recovery. Seeking professional help, such as therapy or counseling, can provide you with the tools and strategies necessary to address the underlying causes of your depletion and develop healthier coping mechanisms. By prioritizing self-care, setting boundaries, and cultivating healthy relationships, you can prevent the development of addictive behaviors and create a life of balance and well-being. And lastly, the tendency to make people suspicious highlights a paradoxical consequence of excessive kindness. In a world where genuine altruism is perceived as rare, it can be met with skepticism and even distrust. This isn't necessarily a reflection of your character, but rather a commentary on the prevailing cynicism that permeates many social interactions. The root of this suspicion lies in the unfortunate reality that many acts of kindness are not entirely selfless. They are often motivated by ulterior motives, such as seeking validation, gaining social status, or manipulating others. This prevalence of hidden agendas has created a societal climate where genuine altruism is viewed with suspicion. When you consistently display acts of kindness that seem to exceed the norm, people may struggle to reconcile your behavior with their preconceived notions. They may wonder, what's in it for them, or what are they trying to hide? They may assume that your kindness is a facade, a calculated strategy to achieve some hidden objective. This suspicion can manifest in various ways. People might question your motives, scrutinize your actions, or even spread rumors about your intentions. They may assume that you are seeking to gain power, control, or influence over them. They might fear that you are trying to manipulate them into doing something they don't want to do. This can be particularly frustrating and disheartening for those who genuinely strive to be kind. They may feel unfairly judged and misunderstood, their good intentions twisted into something sinister. However, it's crucial to understand that this suspicion is often rooted in fear and insecurity, rather than malice. The rarity of genuine kindness also plays a significant role. When people encounter consistent altruism, it can feel unfamiliar, even unsettling. They may struggle to comprehend why someone would act selflessly without expecting something in return. This cognitive dissonance can lead to suspicion and distrust. Furthermore, past experiences can shape people's perceptions. If they have been betrayed or manipulated in the past, they may be more likely to view kindness with skepticism. They may project their past experiences onto your behavior, assuming that you are operating with the same hidden agendas. To navigate this challenge, it's essential to maintain transparency and consistency in your actions. Avoid any behavior that could be misinterpreted as manipulative or self-serving. Let your actions speak for themselves, demonstrating that your kindness is genuine and unconditional. Despite the fact that you cannot control how others perceive you. However, you can control your own actions and intentions. By remaining true to your values and acting with integrity, you can gradually build trust and demonstrate the authenticity of your kindness. While some may remain suspicious, others will come to appreciate your genuine altruism. Now, let's talk about how to stop this from happening. Here are 4 strategies to protect yourself from being taken advantage of. In a nutshell, pay attention to how you feel. Your feelings are a compass. Are you feeling overwhelmed, resentful, or drained? If so, it's a sign you're giving too much. The most important thing for you to do is to learn when to say no. No is a complete sentence. Your time and energy are valuable. Learning to say no will protect your boundaries. Next tactic is to schedule time for yourself. Prioritize your own needs. Treat your self-care time as non-negotiable. Last but not least, identify and distance yourself from energy vampires. These are people who drain your energy with their negativity and complaints. Don't try to fix them, protect yourself. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes incredibly relevant. The Stoics understood that the only thing we truly control is our own actions and reactions. We can't control the behavior of others. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, famously said, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, arrogance, dishonesty, jealousy, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil.'" This teaches us to accept things as they are, not as we wish them to be. This doesn't mean we should become cynical or pessimistic. It means we should cultivate a realistic understanding of human nature and avoid attaching our happiness to the actions of others. Remember, the Stoics taught us that moderation is key. Generosity is a virtue, but it needs to be balanced. Find that middle ground. And when in doubt, remember the magic word, no. That's it for today's video. I hope you found these tips helpful. Remember, you are important. Don't let your kindness be your downfall. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on Stoic wisdom and personal growth. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.